Hi everyone, my name is Clive Corbishley. I'm from the tech team at OfferZen. I was originally at Unbox Consulting, or some of you might know as the nursery for Prodigy Finance. I work on DevOps and also Rails and integrations. I was thinking yesterday when Kenneth was saying about how special Rubyfuza is from the community that's here. And well, it got me thinking even further that when I was still studying, I just moved down to Cape Town, and I moved in with my brother who is also Ruby dev, and he was attending Rubyfuza at the time. I had two job prospects on the table, neither of them what I'd studied at Java, as Java. I'd kind of fallen out of love with that. But I was trying to decide, do I go into something more technical or carry on the technical side, or go into something like that, to WordPress, become like a webmaster kind of thing. But I got introduced to some people from the community, and it was really inspiring to meet these people, how they cared, how they learned, and how they laughed at themselves, and it was very inspiring. So in a way, Rubyfuza is why I am where I am in my career today. Cool. So to start off, what are bugs? They're reality. I could go into talking about how there are faults in the code or the environment that runs the code that results in an unexpected output, but this is more about how bugs affect us in the development world. So no one writes bug-free code. I'd be pretty skeptical if someone said that they did. Maybe if they were working on a pretty small, simple project or something, or maybe they just haven't found the right user yet to create that bug for it. But if you do truly believe that you can write bug-free code, we are hiring. Cool. So the pain points that we felt from bugs before we introduced the bug triage system, these are our main pain points, but I think they are quite general as well. So first off is the distraction from planned work. This can lead to features being delayed. I think we've all had that case where you set some goals for the week, you're going to get this feature out before Friday, and yeah, make sure that everyone's happy with it. And then Tuesday, someone comes along and they give you a bug, and you're like, okay, cool, I'll take this on. And then before you know it, the end of the week comes, you haven't solved the bug, you haven't finished the feature, you haven't met any of your goals. And that can lead to frustration. I know I've found myself in that position before where I haven't met my goals and it's getting frustrated. So normally what I'd do in a situation like that, if I'm not being careful and aware of it, is I'd take work home in the evening and I'd work on the couch or something like that. I'd tell myself it would make me a better developer, and it did, but the amount of effort that went into it compared to the amount of return, because after 10 hours of work during the day, you're not going to be learning too much after that. So yeah, to avoid working overtime on that, and that can obviously lead, well, if you don't do that, it can lead to burnout, and in a team that can just lead to agitation and just cause general problems amongst the team, and things like that can just spread and compound upon themselves. And then obviously the technical debt. This could come from just like quickly trying to patch a bug just with a quick fix, and then someone else does that later and someone else does it later, and eventually the code is just a mess. This could also come from us not having proper insight into what parts of the code are going to become technical debt in the future. So yeah, we weren't able to identify that soon enough. Delegation can also cause some problems sometimes. Who's the best person to take on the bug? Who has the free time to take on the bug? Then do you have to start deciding that this person's feature is more important than another person's feature. And then just a general lack of visibility and understanding into what is happening. It was all pretty much anecdotal, just discussions over coffee, that kind of thing. So we had an idea, but nothing concrete. So our goals were to reduce the number of bugs, obviously. That was our main goal. This would, in theory, lead to happier developers and happier users. I do think we're kind of lucky with our users in that they all come from the tech space, so they can be more understanding to our problems, and when they do experience a bug, they might be like, oh, that's hard. But of course, other companies will have different users. I know myself, when you hear that CompuTicket is having, Chiran's selling tickets on CompuTicket, CompuTicket goes down. The sadist in me just goes straight to the Facebook page to read the comments of everyone complaining. You'll see someone saying, oh, the server's overloaded, but I have 10 tabs open just hitting the server, and wow, none of them working. Cool. Then better tracking. Just how far along is the work going for the bug? Is it a recurring bug? Has it popped up before, and how many times? Maybe it's come up 4 or 5 times. And then identifying the technical debt. Just identifying the features that need to be rewritten and refactored beforehand. And then foster resolution. So when you do actually start working on a bug and trying to figure it out and then writing the code, it's quick and it's easy. Everything is as you expect it to be. You have a good staging environment to run it on, that sort of thing. And then gain better insights. This is probably the core of it, in that we're trying to get as much data as possible so we can make the educated decisions. Because having the data in a paper trail is way better than just anecdotes. Also with the gain better insights, we could look at things like which users are actually being affected. Is it someone, because a large part of OfficeN is actually an internal app for the staff to use, for the talent advisors and the account managers. And so is it affecting our customers signing up, or is it affecting someone just trying to generate a report in the background or something? Sorry, I just got to wait for the GIF. Cool. And then just a better feedback loop move the discussions away from around a coffee table or just in stand-up, just to make it a longer stand-up, just to move it away onto GitHub issues or somewhere where we could have a record of it and people could join in the conversation a week later if they needed to. So, getting Ruby or Rails to shout. There's a few options. They're all really good. I haven't used all of them, so I can't say they're really good, but people seem very happy with most of them. We use Bugsnag. We're pretty happy with it. And it's very quick and easy to get set up. As you can see in the example below, just after you install it in your bundle, you just run that with your API key. It just creates an initializer, and you're good to go. We also really liked the integrations that it has with Slack and GitHub. Comes with many of those right out the box. Cool. And then for tracking the issues, then this is with GitHub, where GitHub issues and GitHub projects come in. We're using GitHub issues. I'd imagine if we were using GitLab, we would be using GitLab issues, but we're using GitHub. We're also very happy with the integrations that come with that, with Slack. Mostly the Slack integration. And then also, I'm a simple guy, but when you close the pull request and you've marked it with an issue and it just automatically pulls it across, really enjoy that automation. Cool. We also introduced some versioning. This is, well, pretty simple, straightforward versioning. I'm sure some people have got a lot more in depth with it. But yeah, we just tag the release of the test passing and we're going to deploy it. And then with Bugsnag, we can look and get reports on that version, as well as if we just want to go look at the code in that particular instance, it's very easy to go do it on GitHub as opposed to just browsing through commits. Cool. And what is triage? So triage is usually used in medical emergency rooms. From my understanding, it originally comes from like the Napoleonic Wars, and it's basically a prioritization system based on severity. So, for example, if a stab wound patient comes into a hospital, they will be given priority over little Johnny who just has a fishbowl stuck over his head. Luckily, we don't have to deal with stab wound victims, just Mongo. Cool. This is the flow of our bug triage system. So a bug happens on the system, and then it will come into our Bugsnag channel on Slack. We do also have another channel called Platform Support, which is where staff can report other bugs that necessarily Bugsnag hasn't alerted about, or just ask questions about the platform. So the first step, determine, is it an actual bug? Do we really care about it? If someone comes in using, if we get some JavaScript errors and the person's using Netscape Navigator, we don't have to worry about it. We can just delete those or snooze them. Is it an existing issue? If it is, then we just link it to the GitHub issue so to not create a new one and flood the inbox there. If it is new, we create the new GitHub issue. And yeah, that's done automatically by Bugsnag, or if it's coming from platform support, then we'll just fill out some information ourselves. And then the next question is it urgent? If it's a critical bug, then yeah, then we alert the team straight away, Team America style. We need to solve this immediately before we can carry on. But if it's not urgent, then it can go onto the back burner for a bit. And if you're on bug duty that week, then you have to ask, who do I assign? If you're not sure who to assign, then you ask the triager for advice on who to assign. But otherwise, then if you do know, you just assign it to the person and you add whatever information is available to you at the time, your thoughts on what possible fixes could be or possible related issues. So from this, some of the successes we've seen, we're able to make more informed decisions on the next up work. A recent example of that, it's not the entire reason we did it, but the product team reworked we were seeing some errors around the company interview request messaging feature, and so then that was part of the decision to help refactor it, and then that was released last week. There are fewer bugs. There are still bugs, and there will probably always be bugs, but there are fewer bugs. So less context switching, less jumping between, having to change between features and bugs and what you're focusing on. Yeah, and that also plays into fewer distractions and less frustration amongst the team and, yeah, personally. And bugs can be quicker to solve now when if you come to solve a bug and you see that someone's filled out a whole bunch of information, you don't have to go down that whole path yourself now. You have help. We're still seeing some pain points, though, that we're still trying to iron out. The weekly prioritization that happens if it's not a crucial or high severity bug, that takes a while, and we've made the same mistake twice of assigning it to one person. So that causes a bit of pain, but going forward, we will be moving that to be a product and tech team collaboration. But it's one of those things, not this week because it's Rubyfuza week. New things next week. We get, this one's quite annoying, we get false positive alerts. Sometimes something from the wrong release stage will get reported, and yeah, you can spend 10 minutes going down the wrong thing because you don't always think to check the release stage off the bat. And then there is a slight case of diminishing returns in that a lot of the bugs that people wanted to solve, that they're like, yeah, this one's been annoying me, they took it on, and they solved it, and now there's just like these small little ones that like no one really cares about anymore, that might not even be relevant. Cool. And some of the learnings: trust those who put their hand up. So the way, one of the ways we do it is that each team member picks a bug of the week. So they get to decide what bug they're working on. Obviously they discuss it amongst their teams, so it is a relevant issue. But the point of this is people know what they want to work on, they know what they're good at, let them take it on and choose it for themselves. Yeah, it also just makes for a happier environment when you are working on the bug, you're not frustrated about something you don't want to do. If you're having trouble solving the bug, ask for help first. Don't just put it back on the pile and take another one. It's a good opportunity to reach out to team members who might know more about that feature than you, and you can learn about that part of the code. Some bugs have multiple sources. You can fix it one week, and then next week, same bugs, well, the same error's back. You look at it and it's not making sense because you fixed it, but it could just have a completely different source, and that's quite annoying. And sometimes you have to stop a feature. So I'm not sure how many of you know we had a feature where you could import your LinkedIn profile onto, and we pass it and get the information from it. We kept getting bugs from that. There was, LinkedIn kept changing their templates. We suspected because it was because of us, we're not sure, but but yeah, we'd have to keep changing it, and it ended up becoming just too much work. Yeah, so we had to find another way around that and create a new feature instead. And then just, there's a good rule of thumb, just keep the code simple. And this plays with the quote from Brian Kernighan and Dennis Ritchie. Everyone knows that debugging is twice as hard as writing a program in the first place. So if you're as clever as you can be, when you write it, how will you ever debug it? So more learnings. If you can't find it, make it. If any of you are familiar with Brooklyn NineNine, you know this character, Gina Linetti. It's her job to assign the cases to the various detectives in the precinct, and she's pretty crazy. But we found that there was an issue if we wanted to alert someone on Slack about activities happening on, about getting tagged on GitHub, and to map that GitHub handle to the Slack messaging so they would actually get the message. There were some solutions for it, but like 4 commits untouched for 2 years, or wanting to charge like $1,000 a month kind of thing. So we just ended up building some, just a small little Rails app. It's just sitting on Heroku like Hobby Dinos, and it's just listening for GitHub webhooks and then forwarding onto our Slack. For things like this, I think it's kind of useful to give it a stupid name or like a pop culture name, because we don't maintain it too much. So if it does have its own bugs, we can just be like, Gina, you're crazy. Cool. Thank you very much. I'm Clive Corbishley. Are there any questions? So that's one of the reasons why we're getting, with the more data, it is easier to make those decisions. It's highly contextual according to the software and which users it is, how many users it is even. There could be a critical issue for one user that you might not deem as critical as like a medium issue that's affecting users on sign up or something like that. Well, we do try add new tests when we're fixing the bug. We do test for that test, and we've also just adopted the policy of always write tests, but then don't just write tests for the happy path. Try break it in your tests as well. Cool. I think that's it. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone.